Ms. Henderson, do you have any updates on Alternet since the court report was filed?
No, school has started. She's doing good and she's enjoying school so far. So no, not really.
And am I correct? She still doesn't have her ID?
That is correct. She does not. She told me the last time she and I talked, which was last week when I went over to take her some things, she told me she was going to set another appointment because it was her fault. The reason she didn't go to her other scheduled appointment, it was her fault. She canceled it.
Did you know if another appointment's been scheduled?
The last time we talked, which was last week, she had not scheduled it. So,
okay. But overall, is she doing well?
Yeah, she's doing well. We got her everything she needed for school. Got her registered in school. Got her everything she needed for school, clothing, everything she's doing. She seemed to be really excited when I talked to her last week.
Do you have any other updates that relates to Alternet?
Not really. She's still with her grandfather. She stays over to her aunt's house. Sometimes she spends the night at her aunt's house sometime, but she's still with the grandfather. She's in 12th grade. She passed on in 12th grade. She's just excited about the school year going on so she can get prep for college.
Ms. Henderson, do you have any updates on either of the parents since the court report was filed?
No, I have no idea where mother is. The last time I spoke with dad, and I actually tried to contact dad yesterday and today, just a reminder about court. He did not answer my phone calls. I know he had a court hearing last month for his disability, a disability court hearing. I'm not sure what the outcome of that was, and he hasn't told me anything about the outcome. I know he was still on the housing list for housing. The last we spoke, he still had not got a house yet.
Do you have any other updates that relate to the parents?
No, I do not.
Is there anything else you feel the court needs to be made aware
of? No.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Casper.
Ms. Henderson, will you just remind Alternet that if she needs anything, she's more than welcome to reach out to me?
Yes, I definitely will. I definitely will let her know.
All right, thank you.
So the report indicates she's hoping to go to Prairie View A&M.
Yes, ma'am. Her PAL coordinator took her for a visit there, and she really loved it. So he said he was working with her on that.
Do they have a SIL program?
I'm not sure. I will need to check with the PAL coordinator on that.
Because we need to be prepared to do that application so that she can effectively stay in extended foster care and be at college and get all that extra help.
Okay, yes, because she has indicated that she wants to stay in extended foster care. So we will definitely make sure everything is done.
Perfect. We're going to have one more permanency before she turns 18. And so that'll be a good time to kind of reassess where we are, make sure everything. And I don't know if you've ever worked on the SIL applications. Ms. Henderson, have you?
No, I have not.
Okay. Apparently, they are very, very picky. And some of the caseworkers have had to bargain and stand up for a young person's approval.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping, this would be, instead of just her tuition and fee waiver, she would also get room and board and all of that. We need to make sure what they have available for her at Prairie View A&M if it's not an SIL program. Because I think some universities work with foster youth really well, even if they don't have an SIL program.
Okay.
But we need to make sure we get her as much support as possible. If she can go to college, we want to help her.
Yes, ma'am. Because I try to keep her encouraged, encouraged about that. And we talk about that all the time. So.
Awesome. Okay. Anything further from anyone?
No.
If not, the court has reviewed the report that's on file. I will continue the department as the permanent managing conservator. I will approve her current placement and set the next permanency after final. The department January 17th, West. 2020. Nancy Harrison is the attorney and guardian ad litem for Georgia. We're set for permanency after. You may proceed.
The department calls Mia London. Miss London, the court report mentions that Georgia's previous caregiver had put in her notice. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And am I correct that at the end of July, Georgia was placed in an emergency shelter?
Yes, ma'am.
But subsequently, Georgia ran away from that shelter.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wait a minute. So she's not in a foster home right now, like the report indicates?
No, when we had the report, she was in a foster home. Since the report has been filed on 7/28, she was placed in the emergency shelter. And when she got placed in the emergency shelter, like between 1 to 3 days, I was out on leave, but between 1 and 3 days, she ran away. And there was a vehicle that they seen her get in, and they're trying to check it out. But as of now, they haven't been able to locate her.
Thank you.
And Miss London, at this time, does the department have any idea where Georgia currently is?
No, ma'am. The only information I did get was that she has a boyfriend, or that's in Canada, or she's trying to get to Canada to see that male. Other than that, besides the vehicle type, we don't have any information.
And am I correct, Miss London, that law enforcement was notified that she ran away?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at this time, has the department had any contact with Georgia since she ran away?
No, ma'am.
Is there anything else you feel the court needs to be made aware of at this time?
No, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Harrison.
Miss London, does the department plan to go to that shelter to pick up George's belongings?
Yes, we will. Yes, ma'am.
Good deal. All right. Thank you.
So I guess she met this boyfriend from Canada online.
That's what I'm thinking. The boyfriend from Canada is what I got the information from the previous worker. She didn't give me much information about it, but I'm thinking that it was from online.
Well, my understanding, Your Honor, is he lives in Austin, and that's how she met him. His mom or dad, one of his parents, live in Canada, and sometime in the next couple of months, he'll be going back to them in Canada. So that's why she wanted to go there. And I just want to say I've been in communication with Georgia. She won't talk to me on the phone, but she will text with me. But I don't know where she is. She won't tell me that, but she says she's safe. And
1 second. We're going to take a brief recess. I'm going to bring everyone in a breakout room. Anybody else just hang on.
Okay.
Yes, briefly, Your Honor. Miss London, if Georgia tells you where she is, would you leave her where she is in an unauthorized placement?
Yes, if she's able to meet with the department and we deem that she's safe, we can do her as an unauthorized placement. We just want to make sure and lay eyes on her to make sure that she's safe.
And at that point, if you do that, are police going to go arrest her, or will the runaway status go away and she will be fine where she is?
Well, we will have to notify police, but they will not arrest her. They will have to meet her. When they see her, they will make sure, remove her from as being a runaway. So they just have to physically know that we had contact with her to remove her from the runaway status.
Good deal. And then when you retrieve her belongings from the shelter, will you notify me so I can get those and give those to her?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
Awesome. Anything further from anyone? The court has reviewed the report that's on file. I will continue the department at this time as the permanent managing conservator. I am finding at this time she is on runaway. I am hoping that she will reach out so that we can just have the department lay eyes on her, make sure that she's somewhere that she feels safe, and that we can get her items back to her that she's wanting. She turns 18 in 4 months. Why don't we go ahead and have a progress hearing on 11/15? That is shortly before her birthday. And then we'll just be able to make sure, hopefully, that she's safe. Number two, if she's still planning on trial independence, we can look at those time schedules at that time. So we don't need a report. We just want a progress. I would like a progress on 11/15 at 1:30. The department is present through Ms. West. Jason Milam is the attorney and guardian ad litem. If everyone's here, you may proceed.
The department calls Roy Gowan. Mr. Gowan, am I correct that Eric was just moved yesterday?
Yes, that is correct.
And where was he moved to?
To Cypress, Texas. It's an HCS placement through the department.
And how did the move go?
Went well. A short drive. He was only a little bit over an hour away from his previous placement. He's welcomed into the home by the caregiver and the caregiver's children in the home, which was similar to his age. So he was very comfortable.
And how many children are in the home?
Right now, it's one son in the home, and they have a visitor, which is an older son, but he was in college at the time. He's in college. Yes,
And is this son, am I correct? He's 20?
yes, that is correct.
Okay. And so you said the move went smoothly yesterday?
Yes, yes, there was no issues at all.
And has Eric gotten registered with a local school there?
He just got in yesterday, but he hadn't registered yet. So she's a former school teacher, and so she said she's gonna follow up that very quickly.
Okay. And am I correct in that he's gotten caught up and he'll be entering the 12th grade?
Yes, this fall semester.
And Mr. Gowan, do you have an update on Eric and his citizenship? What's going on with that?
I do not at this point. I know that's still pending there. I know the well-being specialist reached out to the SSI coordinator regarding that. There's still, she hadn't got a response back from that yet. So hopefully we can get that resolved shortly.
Do you have any other updates that relates to Eric?
No, not at this time.
Anything else you feel the court needs to be made aware of?
No, I guess just that Eric is he's worked hard throughout his placement, and the placement's sad to see him go, but he had aged out of that placement, but it wasn't because of any kind of behavior. He's been pretty much on target and doing what he's supposed to do, and he wants to succeed and go to college, So.
Is there anything else you feel the court needs to be made aware of?
No, not at this time.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Milo?
I don't have any questions at this time, Judge.
So are we thinking his application has been processed and he's just waiting? Is it valid and we're waiting for him there's only so many slots each year that someone can get the SIJ approval to stay?
I'm not sure, Your Honor, at that point. I just know that I know the department's been going back and forth with the SSI coordinator to try to get some clarification on how long it would take. We did get some information about some to the nature of being eligible before being a citizen before 1996. I don't know how they had reference to him. He wasn't even born. But they had advised the department, they assured the department they're still working on trying to get that resolved as soon as possible.
Has the application been filed?
Yes, the SSI application has been filed with our department staff, coordinators, SSI coordinator.
It's in the court report is February 28th, 2022.
I'm just trying to verify.
Yeah.
So he's in an HCS slot, HCS slot.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
Will he ever be able to live on his own?
I believe the way he has pals working with him very closely as well. He's prepared himself. Well, he's prepared himself well for us getting the state ID. He has all the information he needs to succeed. And this placement that he's currently in wants to help him with that process as well, and willing to keep him in care as long as it takes.
And Judge, I don't know if it would help. Miss Smith indicated she's in the lobby. She can help clarify a little bit of this citizenship discussion.
She just came into the lobby. I'll bring her in.
Yes, ma'am. We had applied for his application for the status quite some time ago because the COVID time period changed and it's currently a 24-month waiting period right now. And so the application is pending. They have everything that they need. It's just on hold. And so the way we were able to make this placement work is it's a child-specific contract, HCS home, because since he doesn't qualify and he's not officially a citizen, that's the only way that it could be done. So he doesn't qualify for SSI until that period takes place. And so we're hopeful to continue him in this child-specific contract to give us more time for that to continue through.
Perfect. Thank you. Anything further from anyone?
Just for your information, Judge, I was able to speak with Eric and the new caregiver this morning, and seems like he's Doing well, adjusting, certainly new environment he seems a little nervous about, but they seem to be on top of things. And as I understand it, the caregiver is a current administrator in the school district he'll be going to. They start school here in a couple of weeks. They're a little later start, so he should be on track to get started with his classes on time.
Thank you. All right, the court has reviewed the report that's on file. I will continue the department as the permanent managing conservator. I will approve Eric's current placement. Find that he has stayed. I guess I'm not continuing the department as permanent conservator. He's a young adult. But he has signed to stay in care. I will approve the placement. The next permanency after will be January 17th, 2024. So I just wanted to make sure I'm tracking everything correctly. When we were here in March, she was currently in extended foster care, but was potentially looking at entering trial independence. Ms. Harris, if you'll just let me get an update, please, on where she is, how she's doing.
Yes, ma'am. Brianna actually moved into her own apartment December 1st of 2022. So she's been living on her own. As far as Aaliyah, she moved into her own apartment on June the 1st.
What day?
June 1st of 2023.
Thank you.
Yeah. In Rosenberg, Texas is where Aaliyah is. Aaliyah has not returned my call, but I did talk to Brianna, and Brianna is doing fine. So, but she did say that she and her sister had a little fight, so now she's blocked. Aaliyah blocked her phone or something. So, but that was just like 2 weeks ago. So.
Okay, so just so that I'm tracking, both of them at one point were in extended foster care.
That's correct. And I know that at this time, Aaliyah turned 21 on July 26th of this year.
All right.
But technically left extended foster care a month before in June.
So is she eligible to come back the same as anybody after 21?
I don't believe so. Or at least I'm not aware of anything. Ms. Harris, do you know?
I don't believe so either. She's 21. I don't think so.
Okay.
If I recall, didn't she leave once before and come back?
Not that I know of. I know she was in extended foster care when she was in Philadelphia. That was also before I was a caseworker, but from the way I understood it, she was in a licensed foster home in Philadelphia, and she moved back here and was placed in a foster home here in Texas. And I want to say that she was still in extended foster care.
Okay.
Well, there's no limit on coming to care, right? It's just an age thing. Except as provided by E. Okay, trial independent ends on the 21st birthday. So trial independence has ended for Aaliyah.
Correct.
And when did she leave extended foster care?
December 1st, 2022.
Was not what I was told in March. I had the child was in extended foster care. The plan is independent living.
For Brianna or for Aaliyah?
I thought we were talking about Brianna.
I think that it was backwards. So I think it was maybe that Aaliyah was out of care and we still had Brianna, but actually Brianna had left and we still had Aaliyah.
Okay.
And she's the one who left in June of this year.
Yeah, that's
so she entered trial independence on 12/1/2022. So if it was a regular 6 months trial independence, it would have ended. And she's in an apartment in Rosenberg and she's doing well.
Aaliyah is in Rosenberg. Brianna is in Galveston.
Okay. Where's she living?
In an apartment in Galveston.
And is she utilizing any of the benefits that the department's got for her?
Just daycare for her son.
Okay. She's just living by herself in Galveston?
Yes. Her and her son, he just turned, he will be 2 next month, I believe.
Okay. Then it looks like both of these young ladies have entered trial independence. Both of the trial independence periods have ended, so there'll be no further hearings in this matter. The department is present through Ms. West. Casa is the guardian ad litem at this time. Casa is present through Ms. Goldsmith. Spring Thummel is the attorney ad litem for Bree. The parents are Stephanie Mitchell and Larry Mitchell. Looks like they have not been to court in several years. We're set for a permanency after. You may call your first witness.
The department calls Mia London.
Miss London, you were just previously sworn, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss London, do you have any updates on Bree since the court report was filed?
Yes, since the court report was filed, the previous caseworker did meet with Bree at a home that she was in Pflugerville at an apartment. At that time, she was taken off the missing persons when the law enforcement came out and the special investigator. After that, a week or maybe 2 weeks ago, the gentleman that Bree is with called and stated that he was going to drop her off at a location in Temple at some sort, but he never dropped her off. So she was put as a runaway again because we didn't know where she was at. As of last week, I did get a call from Bree at around 7:30 at a night last week, and Bree let me know that she was back in the home in Pflugerville with the male gentleman. She never was kicked out of the place, and she had no clue what I was talking about, but she's back, identified as a runaway and as on a missing person.
Okay. And so has the department been able to lay eyes on Bree since that meeting with the previous caseworker?
No, not since last month. Like I stated, I have talked to Bree on the phone. The caseworker that has the case now has talked to her. Bree has agreed to meet with us again in person, so we could have her back in an unauthorized placement again. The caseworker that has the case now is going to meet with her sometime this week, if not the early part of next week. But she has been keeping in communication with us via phone.
And Miss London, in your conversation with Bree, am I correct in that she refused to come back into care?
Yes, ma'am. When I asked her would she come back into care, she refused. She was adamant that she was safe. I did let her know if she needed anything. She had my number to feel free to call me. She said she would.
Okay. But at this point, the department's not sure where she's currently residing.
She just told me at an apartment in Pflugerville with her boyfriend, the male gentleman that she's been with for the past few months.
And since that gentleman called the department saying that he was going to drop her off, has there been any further communication with him?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any other updates you feel the court needs to be made aware of?
No, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Thummel?
Ms. London, can you tell me who the worker is going to be now?
Jaleesa Taylor.
Okay, and I think I maybe knew that as of last week, but
yeah, that's never changed.
Do you know, has she made contact with Bree yet?
Yeah, that's what I was stating earlier. She's talked to Bree as well.
Okay. Okay. So other than a few phone calls to assure the department that she's safe and she was where she wants to be and she's not going to come into care, has she given any information for us to know if she's healthy, if she's getting medical attention when she needs it, things like that?
She did say she was healthy. She didn't say anything in the resort, so she's getting medical attention. I do know a couple of months ago or so, she did have to go to the doctor. I can't think off the top of my head for what. It was something that happened and she went to the doctor. So I would say that at some point when she needs it, she is going to the doctor. But I don't know, if she's going for the regular maintenance, the wellness checks, just when something happens to her.
Okay. All right. And I think in one of your last communications, you provided the phone number that she was contacting you from. Is that still a good number as far as you know?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
And we don't have any information about the quote boyfriend, right?
No, we have his information and we have where he lives, the car. We have quite a bit of information about him.
And is there anything that makes the department concerned that this might not be just a normal girlfriend-boyfriend relationship?
Yes, ma'am, we're concerned that that is not a normal relationship.
All right, and I guess the department is taking appropriate steps.
Yes, ma'am. We have a special investigator and we've been working with Austin PD, which we're trying to do.
Wait. That, 1 second. Let's go in a breakout room.
Your Honor, just.
Yes,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bree.
Just to report from my end, I have not had contact with Bree since before the prior hearing. She did reach out to my office a week or so ago, but I was not available when she called, and I have not connected with her since then. So just wanted to let you know.
And Costa wants off.
Yes, I mean, at this point, I think I've talked to her once really since February, and I think it was more or less because the previous worker begged her to contact me.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I will find good cause for Ms. Thummel, and I will also discharge CASA. Otherwise, the court has reviewed the report that's on file. I will continue the department as the permanent managing conservator. Find that this young lady is currently on runaway status. I'm discharging CASA. The next permanency after is January 17th, 2024 at 1:30. And that's a few months before her 18th birthday. This case is on the court docket today for a permanency after final. However, I've just been informed that there is a motion to modify file and that parties are in the works to get agreements for that, but that recently the OAG has intervened. And so it's my understanding, Ms. West, that y'all are not wanting to proceed today since the OAG has not been given notice, and you would like to just go forward with the permanency hearing. Is that right?
In light of the OAG's intervention, yes, Your Honor.
All right. The department's present through Ms. West. Spring Thummel is the child's attorney and guardian ad litem. Corey Eugene Hobbs is present. The mother, Elizabeth Lynch, is not. So for purposes of today's hearing, you may proceed, Ms. West.
The department calls Siobhan May. Miss May.
I don't have it. If you could just at least let me know what's different.
Oh, okay. Miss May, what is different in the August 10th court report?
In the August 10th court report, I corrected a medical consenter from Corrine Washington to Kelly Zachary, and then updated that Isabella has a doctor's appointment on the 18th.
And is that the only update from the July 11th court report?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I offer the court report into evidence.
It's admitted.
Miss May, do you have any updates on Isabella since those court reports were filed?
Actually, today is Isabella's birthday. She is doing really well. And once she has her shots on Friday, she will officially be enrolled in the pre-K program through Killeen ISD.
Do you have any other updates as it relates to Isabella?
No, ma'am.
And I'm guessing, Miss May, everyone is just ready to be done with this case, correct?
Yes.
And right now, the only thing standing in our way is the OAG's intervention.
Yes.
Okay. And the department in this modification is wanting everything as it relates to the parents to remain the same, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Just to redirect child support to Miss Zachary.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any other updates that relates to this case?
Nothing besides that the current caregiver works really well with both mom and dad.
Any concerns about the care that Isabella is receiving?
No, ma'am.
Is there anything else you feel the court needs to be made aware of?
Nothing that I can think of at this time.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Thummel.
And Miss May, you've had some pretty detailed conversation with the caregiver about PCA and what all those benefits could mean for Isabella, correct?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
And despite those conversations, she's adamant she doesn't want to go through the process to get licensed and pursue those benefits.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Okay. And she feels like she'll be able to get some kind of insurance in place for Isabella going forward?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Anything further of this witness? Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Hobbs, you are a party. Do you have any questions for Miss May?
I do not, Your Honor.
All right. Any further witnesses, Miss West?
No further witnesses.
Any witnesses, Miss Thummel?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so here's the question. I can go ahead and give y'all a setting on the motion to modify. that largely depends on whether the OAG will waive the 45 days written notice. So I could set it for Wednesday, October 4th. I'm curious if y'all might be able, I won't be able to circulate an agreement if mom has signed a waiver, right? Or will she sign off on an order?
If I may, Your Honor, I have pretty good contact with Elizabeth and we talk monthly. She may be able to. I do have an email address for her, but she's been pretty compliant with whatever I asked her to do.
Okay. And Mr. Hobbs, you understand that the department has filed a petition basically asking that all of your rights and duties would remain the same, just the department would get out of y'all's life. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so it's what I'm trying to get at is that if there could be an agreement that could be circulated, then I could take this up by agreement and sign off on it as soon as it's presented to the court. So why don't I go ahead and do this, Ms. West? I'll go ahead and put it on that Wednesday, October 4th day. Let's go ahead and let's just do it at 11:30 on Zoom. And if you will please give the OAG notice of that setting and let them know that if they want to waive the 45 days, that way we don't waste time trying to see if they're going to waive the 45 days. Yes, Ms. Hummel?
Sorry, Judge, I have a contested setting in the 414th on the October 4th.
Do you anticipate that this would be anything other than probably an agreement?
No, I think it'll be pretty brief. I just don't know that I'll be done in the 414th by 11:30.
Do you want to go ahead and just, it's the PMC day. Right now, I only have 9 cases in the afternoon. I could add it for 3 o'clock.
That'd probably be safer for me, Judge.
Okay. So October 4th. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and set it at 1:30. I'm going to set everything at 1:30. In the event y'all get an agreement, then with whatever magical language the OAG wants, y'all can go ahead and get it to me. Or if they need to have a hearing on the record, but are willing to waive the 45 days, let me know and we'll scoot it up some. Otherwise, the court has reviewed the report that's on file. I will continue the department as the permanent managing conservator. I approve the current placement and the prior orders regarding the parents' visits. I'm setting the next I'm having a motion to modify 10-4, so I'm not going to worry about the next permanency after. And again, y'all get an agreement, get it to me, we'll take it off the docket. If there's nothing further, we'll be in recess. On the court's docket. Thank you, Mr. Permanency after final. The department is present through Ms. West. Spring Thummel is the attorney and guardian ad litem for the children. The parents are Eric Mata and Amanda Mata. They are not present. We're set for permanency after. Ms. West, you may call your first witness.
The department calls Melinda Bandy. Miss Bandy, am I correct in that the goal for each of these children right now is adoption?
Yes.
And Miss Bandy, you, along with Miss Thummel and the caregiver, have met trying to discuss the next steps for these children, correct?
Yes.
And right now, does it seem like the caregiver is committed to pursuing adoption?
For our last permanency conference that we had last week, yes. But go ahead.
Am I correct though, Miss Bandy, the caregiver has kind of wavered on conservatorship versus adoption?
That's correct.
And the department has explained to her the realities of both conservatorship and adoption. And right now she has indicated she is willing to pursue adoption.
Yes, that's correct.
But Miss Bandy, the department also provided the caregiver with a checklist of what she needs to do, correct?
The CPA or the licensing agency did, yes.
And since the court report has been filed, has the caregiver made any progress towards licensing?
Not since the report has been filed.
Well, not in the last year. Not in the last year, right?
Your Honor, she did in the last year. We actually, in May, she helped complete the application for with the agency. But it's been slow since May, the end of May, since that's been submitted. She's about 50% of the way through the checklist that they have before they can actually go into the home, or before, they'll move to phase 2, which is do a home study or walk through the home.
So Ms. Bandy, at this point, is the department trying to give this caregiver a little bit of time to see if she's going to make any progress towards licensing?
We are, yes.
At this time, does the department believe it's best for these children to remain with Miss Vera?
We feel like that's in their best interest in the moment. And that's what the kids, or Jordan and Zachary, have maintained with us. And that's another reason that we have, continued to pursue that goal.
Does the department have any concerns about the children's current placement?
There are no safety concerns, just concerns regarding the progress toward permanency. We would like to move forward and see a little bit more progress from, their relative caregivers in.
Ms. Bandy, I know one topic of discussion is making sure these children are having their therapeutic needs met, correct?
Yes.
I've read the report. This young lady has not been in therapy since she's been placed with this caregiver. And that the boy has been very spottingly going to therapy.
Ms. Bandy, do you have an update on the kids and their therapy?
Jordan completed her psychological. I cannot recall if we discussed that at the last hearing in March, but she completed the psychological. We received the results on July the 21st, and it was, of course, recommended that she participate in therapy. And a referral was submitted by the LPS worker for that region, and the provider reached out yesterday from Life Smart Therapy, confirming that they had received the referral information and would be reaching out to schedule the intake with Jordan to get the services started in that region.
And as the caregiver indicated, she is committed to making sure that the children's therapeutic needs are met.
She said she was, per the permanency conference we had this past week.
Do you have any other updates as it relates to these children since the court report was filed?
Not at this time that I can think of.
Do you have anything else you feel the court needs to be made aware of?
Well, I will say they started school. So I know in the report, I guess that could be an update. I did indicate that the caregiver was seeking placement in new school. So I apologize. That is something I thought of. So they did start school, and Miss Vera actually sent me pictures today of their first day of school. They seem to look happy in the pictures and look forward to starting the new schools after all the issues with this past year at the other school.
Do you have any other updates?
Contact with mom, we're still struggling. The direction in that is kind of been going back and forth, and that's something that we discussed at the last hearing, is pursuing to support Jordan's well-being and what the options would be for that. So yes, there's some struggles with that.
At this time, is the department in support of Jordan having contact with her mother?
Not based on what has occurred since we suggested doing so in the attempt. We felt like it's caused more issues than benefit from what's been reported to us.
And what's been reported to you from the caregiver?
Yes.
Okay. And so then what has been going on with the children, specifically Jordan, as it relates to contact with her mother?
Well, initially the caregiver expressed that she was in support of the contact, and she had testified, I think at the last hearing, that she was willing to supervise and facilitate those calls with a mother who is also the caregiver's niece. And she was released from jail shortly after that. It was the end of March. The hearing, was at middle March, and she started having some phone calls with Jordan, and the caregiver reported that she was bypassing her and calling Jordan whenever she wanted and when the caregiver wasn't around. And then she reported that there started being some behaviors. Some of those we could not confirm, but Jordan was starting to, she said she was caught vaping right after that. The mother went by the house unannounced, so she was kind of struggling with boundaries. She didn't want, wasn't adhering to supervision. And then allegedly, Jordan, they have some disagreements on, parenting. And so allegedly, the caregiver, Jordan, had told her that the caregiver, because she had chores, that she was treating her like a slave. And so when they were having a family gathering for graduation, it was alleged that Jordan's mother called and was making threats to I'm not going to use the exact verbiage, but basically physically assault her, beat her up for mistreating Jordan, and that she was going to tell their dad and that he was going to come over there. So there was just, it created a lot of conflict and stress. And that's when Miss Mata came back and was saying again that she felt like Jordan was wanting to go with the mom and that she wasn't sure adoption was a good option. And so we saw some more, some wavering there. And so that's kind of really what's been happening since the last hearing, just really trying to maintain the placement and not have it disrupted, because Jordan does say she wants to be there, but she also wants to have contact with her mom. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
And Miss Bandy, to your knowledge, has there been any sort of contact between Zachary and his biological mother?
Not that I'm aware of, and not that's been reported to me, but they do share a room. So if Jordan's had, there is a likelihood he has, but it again has not been reported to me, and Zachary has not stated that to me or to the LPS worker that I'm aware of.
Do you have any other updates or any other information you feel the court needs to be made aware of?
Not that I can think of at this time.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Thummel.
Ms. Bandy, have you had any direct contact with the mother?
I have not.
Okay. And you and I have had some discussions over these past few months that the kids have always maintained that they want to have some kind of connection to mom, correct?
Yes.
And they were having connection while the conservatorship case was pending prior to termination, correct?
Not 100% sure there, since mom was incarcerated throughout the case.
Okay,
so
well,
I apologize.
Your court report says she is reported to maintain weekly phone contact with her biological mother who's incarcerated. So that's been included in prior court reports. But all of the information you've received about concerns of mom's contact with Jordan has come from caregiver, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is the department willing to try to make contact with mom directly and flesh out some of these issues?
The department will follow whatever the court requests, us to do.
Okay. You mentioned that the provider just yesterday confirmed receiving the referral for Jordan. What about therapy for Zach?
Zachary was not on the confirmation for the referral. That is something that the LPS worker and we discussed with the department about referring Zachary so he could re-engage in therapy as well. He was not on there, so I will need to reach out to confirm if he was left off or they're just getting Jordan scheduled at this time.
Okay. All right. Pass witness.
Anything further of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
All right, let's jump into breakout room. Everybody.
No, Your Honor.
If not, the court has reviewed the report that's on file. I will continue the department as the permanent managing conservator. At this time, I am going to approve the children's placement. I'll set the next permanency after for January 17th, 2024 at 1:30. I am a little concerned at the caregiver's ambivalence, it sounds like, toward really making progress on giving these children permanency. If there's nothing further, we'll be in recess. To Ms. West, Bree Thummel is the attorney and guardian ad litem for the children. The father of one of the children, if I'm not mistaken, Camacho, he has been served, Ms. West?
Yes, Your Honor, he has.
And is he in default or have y'all reached agreements?
He is in default, Your Honor.
All right. The other parents, the mother and the alleged father of Nathan, have been terminated by a prior court order. And we're set for the motion to modify. Is everyone ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, sure.
You may call your first witness.
The department calls Roy Gowan. And Mr. Gowan, can you remind the court where these children are currently placed?
They're placed with their paternal aunt.
Is that Elena Ortega?
Yeah, that is correct.
And how long have these children been placed there?
I have to read the report to see the exact date. Sorry.
Am I correct? They've been there since 2021.
That is correct.
And during the time the children have been there been any concerns about the care they've received?
No, the caregivers have been able to meet the basic needs. I've had this case twice, once when I left and when I came back, and she's been able to meet all the kids' basic needs, both of those kids' basic needs at this time and in the past as well.
Have there ever been any concerns about the care that Ms. Ortega has provided these children?
No, there's not.
And the department today is requesting to be dismissed from this case. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And the department is recommending that Ms. Ortega be named the sole managing conservator of these children,
Yes,
and specifically that Mr. Camacho remain no designation.
that is correct.
And the department believes that arrangement is in the best interest of these children.
Yes.
And can you briefly tell the court why that arrangement is in the best interest of these children?
These children have developed a great bond with this aunt. She also has other children in the home as well that they bonded with. She's been diligent in carrying out all the PCA benefits and everything that she needs to provide for these kids long term, and it's been a big asset for these kids overall throughout this whole process.
And you mentioned that she's been diligent in pursuing PCA. Am I correct that she's licensed and completed all the requirements for the PCA program?
That is correct.
And is her completion of PCA the material and substantial change since the final order?
No. Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Okay. You're
Had a moment.
Okay.
Okay.
And Mr. Gowan, am I correct? The department doesn't have any concerns about Ms. Ortega's ability to care for these children without the department's involvement.
That is correct.
Okay. Is there anything else you feel the court needs to be made aware of as it relates to these children?
No, there's not at this time.
I will pass the witness.
Ms. Bumble.
Mr. Gowan, have all the negotiations for PCA been completed and all the necessary documents signed so that we are ready to enter this final modification order?
Yes, they have.
Okay. And Nathan anyway has been receiving some therapeutic services. Do you know if the caregiver plans to continue those sessions?
That is my understanding. In our last meeting I had with her, the middle part of this month, as well as when she signed her last PCA paperwork early part of this month as well.
Okay. I just want to make sure we've got all of our I's dotted and T's crossed because that came up on a different case recently.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness.
Any further witnesses, Ms. West?
I have no further witnesses.
Ms. Bumble.
No witnesses, Judge.
All right. The court does find that there has been a material and substantial change in circumstance since the prior order, and that modification of the prior order is in the best interest of the children. I will grant the relief requested, dismiss the department, name Ms. Elena Ortega the sole managing conservator of the children. I will continue all prior orders regarding the father, Mr. Camacho, having no designation and no access. I'm guessing, Ms. West, did the prior order also include a no child support?
It did, Your Honor.
I continue that order as well. When would you like this on a hearing to enter order docket?
If I could have 2 weeks, that would be sufficient.
All right. August 29th is present through Ms. West. Spring Thummel is the children's attorney and guardian ad litem. Mr. Cowley represents the mother, but Ms. Shelton has indicated Mr. Cowley was going to be unable to attend today's hearing. The three fathers are Ronald Bernal. He has never appeared. Tavares Cummings Sr., he is not present today. And Kenya Landrum Sr. Was supposed to be connecting to the Zoom call from his TDCJ unit, but I've waited till a few minutes after 3:30. He has still not connected. Mr. Gowan, do you know anything about his desire to be here or why he's not here?
I do not, Your Honor. I know he recently relocated to that particular prison. I don't know if that had anything to do with circumstances.
All right.
But I do.
All right. Well, we're set for a permanency hearing, so we'll go ahead and proceed at this time. You may call your. Yes.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to follow up with Mr. Gowan real quick. I was aware of that change, and when I sent that order for him to appear, I sent it to the new facility. I called them and got the information on the person I was to send it to, and I did send it to the new facility about 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right. You may call your first witness, Ms. West.
The department calls Roy Gowan. Mr. Gowan, do you have any updates on these children since the court report was filed?
Yes, just a couple of things. The child is Arabia. She changed school. She was at Chilton ISD, and she moved to Conley High School this semester. So she's the only one that's not attending the Chilton area ISD schools at this time.
And what was the reason for that change in schools?
Just a change of venue. I talked to the caregiver. She said there was not any issues. The child wanted to be closer in. She wanted a different environment. So they agreed to the change.
Okay, so Zyrobia is going to Connolly, you said?
Yes, Connolly High School.
Do you have any other updates regarding the children?
We did have a FGC, a family group conference meeting back on August 3rd. From that meeting, the primary topic was appropriate housing that the mom is seeking at this time. The department is currently looking at a possible reunification with the mom, and that was one of the issues that kind of was at the top of the food chain for us, like getting appropriate housing for the kids to move back into with the mom. So we at this point we kind of accessing that aspect of the permanency.
Okay, so the department's goal at this point is family reunification, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And is the only outstanding issue with the mother her housing and living situation?
Yeah, that was a concern we brought to her, and she has informed the department that she's in the process of searching for appropriate housing through several apartment complexes within the area, and she's been in contact with us weekly and keeping us updated on the status of that information.
Okay, am I correct, sir, that she is living in a studio apartment with a relative right now?
That is correct.
And so it's not large enough for all the children to be with her, correct?
That is correct.
And so she's currently looking for housing and is on the housing list?
Yeah, she says she's number 79, and she can correct me on that if I'm not correct, but that's from the text I got from her. That was the housing list, but she also reached out to several other providers in addition to the housing regarding to seeking an apartment around this area.
Okay, so the mother is making efforts to try to find appropriate housing for her and the children, correct?
Yes.
And I know, and am I correct, sir, that the mother has been spending significant amounts of time with the children?
That is correct.
And there's not been any issues reported?
No issues reported, any safety concerns at all.
And I know a question that has been tossed around among the party is, how can the mother have further contact with the children but not impact the caregiver's licensing, correct?
That is correct.
And so the department has been working with the licensing agency to see how much time or how many overnights the mother can stay with the caregivers during the week, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And has the department received an answer on that from the licensing agency?
Yeah, the license states that it wouldn't affect the license if it's just up to 2 nights a week. And I staffed that out with my superior, and the department is in agreement with the 2 nights a week.
One moment, Mr. Gowan.
Yes.
Someone has come into the lobby that's identified as a call-in user _1. If you could please unmute yourself and identify yourself so that I'll know if you're a part of the hearing that I'm currently on. Y'all kind of watch the screen to see if they unmute, then we'll stop so that we can find out who it is. Go ahead, Mr. Gowan, Ms. West.
So, Mr. Gowan, you said the department was in agreement with those 2 overnights with the caregiver per week?
That is correct.
Okay. Is there anything else that needs to be addressed with the mother as we're working towards reunification?
Not at this time, no.
Do you have any updates as it relates to the fathers in this case?
No, just a recent move from the different TJJD facilities that was at, and TDCJ facilities, I'm sorry. But that was identified on the affidavits, the court reports as well.
Okay. Do you have any other updates that you feel the court needs to be made aware of at this time?
No, I do not.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Thummel.
So, Mr. Gowan, other than getting on the housing wait list, has Ms. Shelton been keeping you up to date on other efforts that she's working on to find other housing for her and the kids?
Yeah, she did text me an update here recently, and that's where I got the information from regarding being like number 79 on the housing list. And she mentioned some other stuff that other providers in there that she's been seeking assistance from as well. And she said that she was Brazos Village Apartments, I believe that's what she mentioned. That they would have anything until like September So she's been supposed to try to get that process moved fast as she can.
Okay. She's actively been involved in these kids' lives very consistently since the time they were placed with Miss Shelton, correct?
That is my understanding. Since I've been involved in it well over a year now, she's been definitely actively involved with the children's lives.
Okay.
Throughout the process.
And current caregiver and several other family members are very supportive of seeing this reunification happen, correct?
Yes. In the last family group meeting, there was a pretty large entourage there in support of her transition.
All right. Are there any other tasks that mom needs to work on besides housing in order for the department to be ready for reunification?
Well, I noticed some issues about getting her driving license done, but she does have a transportation plan in place that can assist her with her support team there. So it wasn't like at the top of the list, but for like getting kids from A to B, getting medical appointments, doctor appointments, those kind of things. Even the school situation with the kids in Chilton, the current caregiver, Miss Shelton, has always assisted in the transport of those kids back and forth to school, etc. So she has a big support system around her.
All right, I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Shelton, you're here today without your lawyer, but I'm going to let you, if you have questions for Mr. Gowan, I'm going to allow you to ask them at this time. I'm guessing you have a driver's license or you're working on a payment plan or something.
Thank you, Spring, because she sent me some information and I just came from the court today and I got time served on. Well, I had to pay $531. It was $3,000 and some dollars and they knocked it down. So I got that out the way. And now in between working, because my schedule only get off to 4:30, I'm gonna be calling the DPS to see about my license. And I'm still looking for housing. I go every weekend looking at houses, but I know I'm really trying to stay out here in this area because my baby want to go to Conley. And Brazos Village, they told me on the housing that she won't have no apartments available until September. And that's a 4-bedroom and it's something I can afford. It's like $11.86 a month. So that's basically it.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay. Do you have, I'm glad that you offered that. Do you have any questions for Mr. Gowan at this time? Ms. Shelton, any questions for Mr. Gowan?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any further witnesses, Ms. West?
No further witnesses.
Any witnesses, Ms. Thummel?
No, Your Honor.
And I'm guessing am I correct that there's not a restriction that Ms. Shelton be supervised at this time?
I have to go back and look at your last orders there.
I'm just curious at what's appropriate,
I
right?
don't recall.
Yeah, what's
right
appropriate?
now, no.
I'm curious at what's appropriate now. If she's done everything except for now we need housing. Like if she, of course, would probably need to have her driver's license to pick them up and take them somewhere. Would there be any reason that if she and the caregivers can agree to times that there's no requirement that she be supervised?
The department wouldn't have any issues with that, to my knowledge, Your Honor.
Okay. And I'm guessing there's no prohibition from Ms. Shelton attending school functions, extracurricular activities, and things of that nature with the children.
No, there's not, Your Honor.
Okay, we're just mainly getting the children as much time with mom as we can without violating the current caregiver's licensing issue, and looking at when we can get mom into a home that would be suitable for all the children.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so we're okay with Ms. Shelton, and it's Clara Shelton, if I'm not mistaken, for working out Ms. Shelton's time with the children.
Caregiver Michelle Shelton, Judge.
Michelle
Shelton. Yeah.
Where did I get Clara from? Somewhere deep back here. Okay. All right. Ms. West, I'm just trying to make sure where we are and where we're going. It sounds like it's really just a housing issue. So if she and the current caregiver can work out other times, and I know that 5 children is a lot in a studio apartment, so that probably wouldn't be ideal. But other than that, there's not a lot of restrictions, correct?
That's my understanding, Your Honor.
Ms. Thummel?
I don't have any problem with some unsupervised time that they can work out between them, Judge.
All right. So Ms. Shelton, don't drive the kids around if you don't have a valid driver's license, because that would be the time that you'd get pulled over and then it would just be bad.
Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am.
Other than that, there's not a requirement that you be supervised with your children. Okay.
Okay.
The court has reviewed the permanency report. At this time, I will continue the department as the permanent managing conservator. I'm approving the current placement, and I'm also ordering that, of course, mom can have the 2 overnights in the home that it looks like is approved and will not run afoul with the current caregiver's licensing. May have unsupervised time as she and the current caregiver can work out, and may attend the children's school functions and extracurricular activities. I've set this for the next permanency after for January 17th, 2024 at 1:30. Is there anything further from anyone? If not, we'll be in recess. Thank you. Congratulations, Ms. Shelton.
Thank you.
You've been one of the most tenacious parents that we've had.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. We'll be in recess.